Praises to the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, double honors to the elders and apostles of Jewish who well shalom to the elect. Yeah, basically I was out working yesterday and I went in one shop, and then a lot of these shops is either Elam or Ishmael who run these little corner stores over here, you know. He's probably an Elamite. And yeah, I was talking to him, and basically I wanted to buy something, and then he told me the price, and I said, I can get it cheaper somewhere else. And he was like, how many you want? And he was trying to talk me down, and me and him come to an arrangement. He basically gave me the same price I would get it anywhere else, but he was like, if you ever need anything, let me know. I was like, yo, do you have a? Because he did me a favor. I was like, yo, you got a cash machine? I'll take the money out so you can pay. This guy was like, no, man, I don't mind paying VAT, because if you have anyone who owns a business or understands how the monetary system works, when you have cash, this is one of the reasons, in my opinion, why they want to get rid of cash. When you have cash, there's things that you can get away with that you can't when you have to use card. You have to pay VAT, you have to pay these card fees. And he was like, no, I'm happy to pay these fees. This country has helped me a lot. They helped me when I came over here. And I really started thinking into, because I didn't really know too much about it, so I was just reading this little thing, and I'm gonna probably look into it a little bit more. But you have you have all these nations that have been essentially destabilized by Esau, but they come over here and they have this love for him, and as per the scriptures, it shows that basically at the end a lot of people are going to get wise to what he's doing and turn on him, but a lot of people still believe in his bullcrap. Whether or not it's telling the truth, I don't know, but I looked into the little Indian Pakistan situation, which basically India is a continent, and Pakistan was formed when the British basically left India, and all those problems that have occurred in the area is because of when I say great, I mean that loosely, because of Britain's involvement with those nations, which is pretty much everywhere in the world. Even a lot of the stuff that's going on in Libya wasn't happening when Gaddafi was in charge, and when they left, they basically destabilized the whole country. And when I was looking into this, I had to do a little looking just to, because you have these little pieces. Say Esau's A, you'll have, and then you have all these other countries from B to Z. What they tend to do is Esau will be A, and it will make B fight D, and D fight C, and C fight E. So he destabilizes the whole continent or the whole country, so they can come in and kind of pick you apart. So you're too busy fighting amongst each other to understand who the true enemy is. And if you look into this guy's tactics, it's basically divide and conquer. I'm just gonna read the last bit of this just to put it into context. Where it says here, the consequences of the implosion of India, if brought about by joint efforts, because what India is doing is they're actually they're with the, I think, the quad for, yeah, I'll just read. If brought about by joint forces and machinations of external and internal elements, would mean a frontal blow to the political philosophy called democracy. India, the bastion of democracy in Asia, will get fragmented into several states, physically and ideologically, because there's all Muslims and Hindus. You got all these people speaking different languages, so they say the scriptures talking about, if a house be divided then it can't stand. So they definitely, as a country, can't stand. It will create a void for China's totalitarianism to fill, because basically what China want to do is they want to come in and side with Pakistan, to overthrow India, because they don't want India to be basically the number one Asian force, or the premier Asian force, because India actually has nukes. So they're coming in, they're siding with Pakistan, and obviously the West see a problem with this. So what the West, with the US and Japan, for the US, Australia, Japan, and India, Quad 4, are trying to do is they're trying to basically combat that. The entire world order will be affected. Leave aside the island states in India, Pacific, and the Asian heartland states. A new world run by a totalitarian order will appear in with far-reaching economic and social implications, in which capitalist socialism will be the arbitrary force. Freedom of speech, movement, and association with human and civil rights, all of the human beings have secured after such a great struggle, will be destroyed basically. Major democracies in the world understand that any threat to destabilize democratic India means jeopardizing the very concept of democracy in a free world, which is why four strong democracies of the world, namely the US, Australia, Japan, and India, called Quad 4, have come together to face the threat from totalitarian Asian dragon and its iron brother, which would be India. Quad 4 countries, well, not India, Pakistan. Quad 4 countries will also address other urgent challenges threatening humanity like COVID-19, climate change, narcotics proliferation, terrorism, and free trade zones, etc. India is an active partner in the Indo-Pacific security arrangement. She enjoys a unique position in the security of the Indian Ocean region and cooperates with the Indo-Pacific region navies in conducting naval exercises to ensure the free movement of ships along the trading channels. India has undertaken a massive program of building strategic infrastructure, road connectivity, and boosting its defense capabilities. At the same time, India is bringing about reformation and the functionality of all the full organs of the state to provide efficient governance and equitable distribution of wealth, which they're not going to do, because pretty much what the elders say, a lot of those leaders probably, they go back to Esau, Edom, and they're basically controlled by Esau, Edom, and basically the bankers run pretty much everything. These people are shadow puppets, whoever they may be or whoever they may look like. These measures are bound to neutralize the internal subversion and threat to a stability and integrity. Now, if these people had any intention to, share the wealth, they would have done that by now. And this goes into the Pancho agreement, because basically China and the whole Asian continent, they had an agreement, but these people are pretty much breaking the treaties. So China pretty much has taken a book out of Esau, a page out of Esau's book, which is why a lot of people think China is gonna come and become the new power. But at the end of the day, none of that's happening. These even some Jake, I'll talk. He might be a Jay. He's a bit of an idiot, but he seems to think that China is going to be the new ruler. A lot of Jakes think that it's not going to happen. The five principles of peace coexistence, also known as the Panchayat, were mentioned in the preamble of the Sino-Indian Agreement 1954. The principles subsequently adopted in a number of resolutions and statements, including the preamble to the Constitution of China. In the Panchayat Agreement of Five Principles of Peaceful Coexistence was first formally signed on April 28, 1954 between India and the Tibet region of China. The agreement was signed between the Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru and China's first Prime Minister. And if you look into the whole historical beginnings of Tibet and, basically what happened with that region, you understand that, Britain had a lot of influence in that place, which is why that whole country is destabilized, because these people went in and they basically destabilized it and it's never really stabilized again. And if you go into the Mac Hohen line, which I was looking at all of this stuff because I might put this in the description so people can read it themselves. But it's basically the McMahon line is a frontier between Tibet and Assam in British India, negotiated between Tibet and Great Britain at the end of the Shimla Conference, October 1913 to July 1914, and named for the chief negotiator, Sir Henry McMahon. And a lot of these treaties come about after a war. Let's see if we can get any more information. Oh well, I'll leave that. And even they've got their little army bases all over, you know. Well, not all over Africa, but in some parts of Africa. Uh, let's see if there's any little points I can. It says here the partition of India in 15 August 1947. On the 2nd of June 1947, the last Viceroy of India, Admiral Lord Louis Mountbatten, and he sounds like a Edomite, announced that Britain had accepted that the country should be divided into a mainly Hindu India and a mainly Muslim Pakistan, encompassing the geographical separate territories of West Pakistan, and East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. And if you go into it here, the legacy of Indian partition in August 1947, when after 300 years in India, the British finally left the subcontinent, was partitioned into two independent states. I'm not really gonna get into that, but it just shows you, when the more you look into it, the more you see Britain's hand, pretty much moving everybody like a puppet. And yeah, I'm gonna go into Ecclesiastes 14. I'm gonna start to blesses he whose conscience have not condemned him, and who is not fallen from his hope in the Lord, riches are not comely for a niggard. And I had to look up the word niggard, and it means a mean and ungenerous person, a miser, which is basically a mean person. And Esau's a mean person, so when he gets money, he don't want to share it. And they're talking about sharing the wealth to stop all these social issues that are rising because those people are poor. He don't want to share his money. He that gathereth by defrauding his own soul gathereth for others that shall spend his goods riotously. He that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods, and there is none worse than he that envieth himself, and this is a recompense of his wickedness. And if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly, and at the last he will declare his wickedness. The envious man have a wicked eye, he turneth away his face, and despiseth men. So these people probably thought, when these little British guys made up these agreements, they thought they was doing it for their own good. But what they were really doing was this, creating two factions and destabilizing the whole continent, so that these people wouldn't come together and be a threat to their global power. And I don't know about that guy in particular, but people are pretty much wising up to how the West moves, you know, which is why you have these people. And he was talking about how China and Pakistan have the idea of, they've actually made an agreement between themselves, which is, an enemy of my enemy is my friend. So they're pretty much coming together to battle, the Western aspects of it, which would be Australia, the US, Japan, and India. I'm gonna just finish it off in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 1. Let brotherly love continue. Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares. Remember them that are in bonds as bound with them, and them which suffer adversity as being yourselves also in body. So you seeing all these problems in the world, and even though they're heathens and they follow fake religions, it's not supposed to be like that. You're not supposed to have this level of division in the world suffering like this. I particularly, I don't really care. But at the end of the day, I'm a human being. Why would you want to work? I mean, the Most High created the world to be at peace, not to be constantly at war. Marriage is honourable and all in the bed undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers Yahweh will judge. Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have. For ye have said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee, so that ye may boldly say, the Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me. Remember them which have rule over you, who have spoken unto you the word of the Most High, whose faith follow, considering the end of their conversation. And this goes into, the elders being over us. But really and truly, I want us to focus on verse 6, so that we will boldly say, the Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me. See, I'm not gonna sit there and act like I'm the most holy person, but seeing all of this stuff unfold, I don't really care what happens, man. Even Esau will be coming after you, asking you for money. At the end of the day, it's not, the Lord said, whose superscription is this? And it's Caesar's. It's his money. If he wants it, give it to him. I don't really care for this world, man. And as you can see, a house, you know, divided shall not stand. All praise to the Most High, Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh, but honest to the elders and apostles of Jewish. Well, shalom to the elect.